Sup, it's your unfriendly Ray Rat neighbor Kevin Carnage, and I'm back with a brand new video. Before we get into this, I'd like to point y'all attention to that description below. There'll be what if creators such as Six Master of the Master Clan, Kid Zeus of Kid Zeus Studios, Zoku Meister, Lord Titan, and Gratified, just to name a few. These are what if creators that I think are amazing, but that's just my opinion. Head on over to their page, check their stuff out, and tell them the Carnage Man sent you. Don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a comment down below. Tickle that bell notification to get notified whenever I upload a brand new video. And so let's get into it. So as you can see on the thumbnail or whatever you call that situation, this is what if Deku was a shaman. So little explanation into this one. So Quark is not going to be a thing, but the town, cities, or some whatever we want to call the situation is infested with unknown phenomena, and basically a lot of the people in this world can't really explain what's really going on, but they live their life to the fullest regardless. So we start off with a young Bakugou. Um, Even with all his strengths and bravado, he's quite intelligent as well. He's still shunned by his peers thanks to his belief in the supernatural. So yeah, so he spends most of his time alone. In fact, alone in a cemetery that was usually used for thugs hang out and partying and stuff. And this night wasn't. This night was one of the night that a few of these thugs were planning on having a little smash fest in the cemetery, and Bakugou didn't really know what was going to happen. So he was there chilling, reading a book about ghosts and stuff, because it's his thing. That's what he likes to do. A few moments later, Bakugou noticed that it's getting really late, and he was trying to exit the cemetery. He was then approached by a few gang members who were trying to inquire what he was doing in the cemetery. They proceeded to say this is their hang and stuff like this, and you're intruding. As they started to beat on Bakugou. Bakugou, like I said, is strong in its own right, but he was outnumbered. So next morning he awoke. He head to school as his peers noticed he has bandages and stuff on his person. They teased him, told him that, oh, what happened? Did a ghost attack you last night? With Bakugou raising his voice because he's still somewhat a Bakugou in this one, and he raises his voice, stating that he is going to kill him, blah blah blah. And they laugh, not really taking his threat seriously, because basically the threat wasn't serious. He does this to put himself at not have himself try to get friends, if you mind you me. So a few weeks later, Bakugou was planning his revenge and stuff like this. He already had um a cemetery booby trapped and stuff like this, as he was waiting, knowing that the goons would show up this night to do their party stuff and talk their bullshit and stuff. As they stepped in, they had a few moments. They were having fun. They were talking, and they mentioned about beating up Bakugou. Bakugou hears this and tripped the first wire, which sends sheets crashing down to the floor and stuff, and to show the illusion of ghosts and stuff. The gangs were kind of scared as they were running frantically throughout different locations of the cemetery, which was the Bakugou's plan. As they were running, each person of their each individual running station or running out of something tripped another booby trap, would cause another mass to show up looking hideous. some some fake um, cadavers he got from his class and stuff, and so um, it didn't take them long to figure out that everything was fake. And one of the thugs spotted Bakugou hiding behind a tree. He was laughing. He was laughing like, yeah, he was having fun, and he was laughing at the expense of the gangsters and stuff. They gave chase. Bakugo tried to run, but end up on a cliff, the cliff side of the cemetery, which there was a cliff there for some apparent reason. Plot. Um, so the leader of the gang, sporting a very weird hairstyle, and approached Bakugo, started talking to Bakugo, asking Bakugo why he did this thing. Bakugo tell them for revenge. He hates them. They could have just let him go last week, but they proceeded to beat him up. He's already experiencing a lot of complication in his life, and they made it worse. So he was just, returning back the favor, an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. You know what I mean? But the gangster didn't really take this as, fun. Proceeded to take out the gun out of his his side pocket, and pointing it at Bakugo, telling Bakugo that, yeah, you're going to be spending the rest of your life here since you like it in here so much. Let's hang out. Let's make you hang out, man. So, few moments later, a person sporting a very, unique outfit was walking up to the hill. He had headphones in, and he was snapping his fingers to probably the classiest beat he've ever heard, and he wasn't even paying attention. Walking through the goons like, they weren't there. As he came up, he stood past the gangster, placed his hand on the person to try to get his attention. The person turns around, took his headphone off, and says, "Yo, nice to meet you. My name's Deku Midoriya, and I'm a shaman." The gangster was like, "What's a shaman?" And Bakugo had read about them in a few of his dummy guides for ghost hunters, and he didn't really believe they actually exist in stuff, because then he read it from a fictional guidebook or some stuff. So yeah, so the gangster proceeded to, like, get a little bit angry because of Midoriya's happy-go-lucky expression on his face, as if there wasn't a gun pointed at him. The punk guy proceeded to tell him, "How would you like to spend some time with a ghost of a cemetery?" Midoriya is like, "Oh, you know the guys here?" Everyone was confused, and the gangster proceeded to ask, Midoriya, what is he talking about? He's like, "The ghost. I just moved in here about a week ago, and the ghosts here are really nice. We hang out a lot. In fact, I was coming to jam with them tonight. You want, as he asked the gangster, you want to party with us?" And the gangster was like, you know, getting more and more upset as he pointed the gun at Midoriya's forehead. Midoriya says, "Oh, time to show yourself, guys," as ghosts start appearing around, on top of tombstone and a tree, floating around. A few of them was playing with with one of the gangsters' face, as they, started to manifest into view. Um, a few of the other gangsters were really terrified as they made an orderly escape from the cemetery. The head gangster was scared, but he held his ground a little bit, as he started, he started shooting, but he missed at first. Granted, he was in close, um, close range, but Midoriya has some move of his own. He didn't miss. He legit, Midoriya dodged that bullet as he, did a couple flips, landed behind the gangster, and he, uttered, grabbed the spirit, and he said, unity, spirit binding, as Midoriya's voice sounds quite different as he, maneuvers from gunshot because the gangster was still shooting. Um, a branch of a tree broke when the gangster shot it. That Midoriya picks it up and head to the gangster's, directly to the gangster as gangster was firing. That Midoriya was dodging the bullets. He came in close proximity and plunged the piece of stick into the stomach of the gangster, causing the gangster to, pass out. Um, Bakugou was still standing on the hill, watching everything, not really believing his eyes, laughing as he was saying that he'll soon wake up, and you know Midoriya came over to him, lift him up off the off the ground because he was on his butt watching everything. He wasn't standing or warming. He was frightened as well, but not so scared. As soon as he got his composure, he got really excited because he's always wanted to see ghosts. Um, Throughout the years, of course, he has this ghost fetish. He's never seen an actual ghost, but seeing so many at one time, Bakugou got so excited, and Midoriya proceeded to take off his headphone, take out the little box that he had in his pocket. As he removed the plug off, the music could be the music got louder as we could hear the snapping of the song in the background. Everyone, including Bakugo and Midoriya, the ghosts as well, were dancing. So we wake up, and Bakugo, as again, thought everything that he experienced last night was a dream, proceeded to head to school as he told a few of what seemed to be his friends, but they were not really. They were just being nice, and that he had a party with a strange kid and a bunch of ghosts, and it was he had a great night, and he then proceeded to end it, but too bad it was a dream. And they laughed at him a little bit, and they then proceeded to tell him that they were going to karaoke later on if he wanted to come. He said he had more important things to do, and the two friends went off on their own. So later on, Bakugo is sitting in his seat, drawing the ghost of memory that he remembered in his notebook. And suddenly the teacher entered the room and says that, oh, we have a new transfer student. As Midoriya, Izuku Midoriya, entered the school introducing himself. Bakugo couldn't believe that what happened last night was not a dream, as Midoriya looked at him and called him, yo, Bakugo, what's poppin'? The teacher recognized that Bakugo and Midoriya seemed to know each other, and there was an empty seat located next to Bakugou. So the teacher had told Midoriya, "Hey, go over that side, sit next to Bakugou, since y'all friends." And he then told Bakugou to show Midoriya around and stuff. So yeah, that happened. Um, so it's lunch break, as they were both walking, and that Bakugo was really curious and asked him what he's doing here and stuff. Who is he? How was he able to do such stuff? And he then proceeded to say that, oh, I told you last night, I'm a shaman. and I came to this town to look for my guardian ghost or guardian spirit or whatever. And oh, and if y'all don't really notice, this is a ripoff of Shaman King. Not a ripoff of Shaman King, but the inspiration for this what if I got from bench watching Shaman King. You could be the you get copyrighted if you sing it. Anyway, so yeah, that was much explaining as I would plan to do. So Deku and Bakugou was talking. Deku told him that he was here to look for his guardian spirit. Blah blah blah. He came from some village. We're gonna call it Hoshi village. And he is a descendant of long list of shamans, and in a few months or in a year, the tournament would, be held for the shaman to become. I can't just use shaman king, right? Yeah, to become a shaman king to um, figure out the fate of humanity or the world. Blah blah blah. Anyway, so after school, they both went off to the cemetery, happy as could be, because Bakugo finally have a friend that shares a similar interest, basically just the ghost part. And they head off. They were talking to a lot of ghosts and stuff, and one of the ghosts told them that they have been a ghost here for the last 800 years, and he seems to be quite powerful, but there is a one catch. He refused to move from the one spot, and he hasn't indulged the reason why. Bakugo and Deku thinks, wow, he seems amazing if all the other ghosts is talking about him in such manner. Bakugo went over to where the ghost told them to go. As they arrived, they made a huge statue symbolizing a person who had great success in life, but they were wondering why wouldn't he move from this particular spot. They approached the statue, not knowing the statue was the tombstone in it of itself, and proceeded to check out what's happening with the statue. And Deku thinks, I mean, Midoriya thinks that the statue's appearance looks pretty cool as he proceeded to touch the symbol that was on the statue's chest. Suddenly the statue started glowing as the spirit emerges, as he mentioned. No need to fear. I am here. With a gracious smile on my face, I am All Might. Oh, yeah, I killed All Might in this one, but in a heroic fashion, in a sense. Bakugo and Midoriya started cheering, smiling, thinking this is the coolest ghost they've ever seen. As he was, in a spandex or whatever you want to call that, in a superhero type attire. Basically, I'm gonna use a younger All Might in this situation. So this guy. Um, Midoriya proceeded to ask him if he could become his guardian spirit. Then, All Might proceeded to tell him no. And, they pestered All Might all night to figure out why wouldn't he become his guardian spirit. Next morning, because All Might didn't indulge that secret to them. Next morning, they went to school and they were discussing about how they could, you know, convince All Might to become Midoriya's guardian spirit. As then, Midoriya then suddenly decided, let's just look for another one. He probably has reason for not joining me in the first place. Uh, Next scene, they're walking out of school, and a person was standing behind a lamppost, looking very suspicious. As as Bakugou was the first to notice that there was someone there. He went over to check who it was, and surprised for him to see that it was another ghost. But this is the ghost of Endeavor. Dun, 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 dun. He proceeded to ask from Izuku Midoriya if he know a person named Izuku Midoriya. Bakugou, and he told him, yeah, we're friends. We're planning on heading over to the karaoke bar. You could meet us there, or you could follow me there. Bakugou then lead Endeavor to where Midoriya was. Midoriya got really excited because Endeavor himself looks pretty cool. Also, he looks pretty strong, but he wasn't there to become Bakugou. Midoriya's spirit beast. He was actually there to reveal the secret of why All Might is not doesn't wish to move from his location, and it's because of a betrayal that was caused by Endeavor, which caused All Might's death 800 years ago. So we flash back. All Might, Endeavor, and a few other heroes were facing All for One and his goons of Nomus and stuff like this. And basically, this is not probably the original MHA universe. So, um, but in this one, Endeavor was secretly a double agent, but he respected All Might, right? But he was conflicted because in this because All for One was basically a father to him and stuff. But at the end of it, Endeavor then decided to help his you know father figure, which made Endeavor, I mean, regret his choice, because after that, All for One did some really fucked up deeds, which caused his destruction, and weeping about it, Endeavor did something that caused All Might to believe he caused Endeavor's death, which prompt um you know All Might to commit not commit suicide, but stay behind and die in a sense. Something happened where All Might had to stay behind, but not really need to. Endeavor, tricked them into thinking he had to stay behind. So, you know, Midoriya was crying, stating that it was a very sad story, and Bakugou was really angry, stating that why would he do that to a friend, and he would, if anything. But what really is happening is that All Might blamed himself for not able to save as many people as he could have and stuff. So uh later on, both Bakugo and Midoriya, not both Bakugo and Midoriya, all three of them, Bakugo, Midoriya, and Endeavor, were walking to the cemetery where um All Might was. As All Might saw Endeavor, he broke down in tears, saying that he was sorry and he should have been able to do more. Endeavor broke down in tears, saying that he's sorry, that he should have not, tricked them and he apologized and he suffered long enough. You know what I mean? Moments before, moments after Endeavor said this, the same gang returned with a lot more people this time, and basically with the information that there probably will be fighting ghosts. So they brought a bunch of ghost fighting items. Like if they were going to work, we're not going to sure. But anyway, this is where we're going to be leaving this off. Hopefully y'all enjoy this one as I enjoyed making it. Don't forget to check out all the links in the description. There'll be ready creators such as Kid Zeus of Kid Zeus Studios, Six, Master of the Master Clan, Lord Titan, Gratify, and YK, just to name a few. Don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a comment down below. Tickle that bell notification to get notified whenever I upload a brand new video. Uh, yeah, so that's it. It's your unfriendly raid rat neighbor Kevin Cornage, and I'll see you in the next one. Holla at a nigga, say whoop. Can't tell a cat to say something because I took him to the vet yesterday. Nothing bad. It's just like every 6 months thing. I want him to live as long as I need him. Not need him to live, like as long as he can live. You know what I mean? I'm taking care of my boy. See you in the next one. Yo!